Your problem is not a lack of time. It's a lack of focus. You sit down to work, and within minutes, your mind drifts. You check your phone. You open something else. You tell yourself you'll get back to it later. But later never comes. I used to think I just needed more motivation, more energy, a better routine, but none of that fixed it, because the real problem was deeper. My mind had been trained to escape difficulty. Every distraction felt easier than staying with the work. Every notification felt more rewarding than discipline. And without realizing it, I was slowly losing control over my own attention. Here's the truth most people won't admit. Focus is not something you have. It's something you train or lose. And right now, most people are losing it every single day. Hello everyone, welcome to the Mind Awakening channel. In this video, I'm going to show you 10 Stoic truths that will rebuild your discipline from the ground up and force your mind to stay where it matters. Not by making things easier, but by making you stronger. Now, let's get started. Number 1, you don't lack focus, you lack boundaries. Most people think focus is about willpower. It's not. It's about what you allow and what you don't. Every time you check your phone, switch tabs, or respond to something unimportant, you're not losing focus, you're giving it away. I used to blame myself for being distracted, but the truth was simpler. I had no boundaries. Everything had access to me at all times. Stoicism teaches you to be selective. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everything is urgent. So start your day by deciding what gets your focus and what doesn't. Turn off notifications. Remove unnecessary inputs. Create distance between you and distractions. Because focus is not built by trying harder, it's built by cutting what doesn't matter. Number 2, train your mind to stay, not to escape. The moment something becomes difficult, your mind looks for a way out, a quick break, a small distraction, something easier. I used to follow that instinct without thinking, and over time, it trained my brain to quit whenever things got uncomfortable. That's the real problem, not the task, but your response to difficulty. Stoicism teaches endurance, not just physically, but mentally. When something gets hard, you stay. You don't switch. You don't escape. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if progress feels slow, you remain present. Because every time you resist the urge to escape, you strengthen your focus. And over time, your mind stops looking for exits and starts building tolerance. Number 3, stop chasing stimulation. It destroys depth. Your mind has been trained to crave constant stimulation, fast content, quick rewards, instant feedback, and because of that, anything slow, deep, or demanding feels unbearable. I didn't realize how much this affected me until I tried to focus on one thing for a long period of time. My mind resisted. It wanted something easier, faster. That's when I understood I wasn't lacking discipline. I was addicted to stimulation. Stoicism forces you to reduce that. Less noise, less input, less unnecessary consumption. Because the more you feed your mind with quick stimulation, the less it can tolerate real work. And real progress only happens in depth. So if you want to rebuild your focus, you have to first reduce what's weakening it. Before we continue, let me ask you something simple. What distracts you the most right now? Your phone, social media, or your own thoughts? Be honest with yourself. And if you're willing, share your answer down in the comments. Your experience might help someone else realize what's holding them back. If this kind of content is helping you see things more clearly, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support keeps this going and gives me the motivation to keep creating content that actually matters. And now, let's continue. Number 4. Your environment shapes your focus more than your intention. You can have the strongest intentions, but if your environment is full of distractions, you will lose. I used to think I just needed more discipline, but every time I sat down to work, my phone was next to me, tabs were open, noise was everywhere, and slowly, my attention followed it. Stoicism teaches you something practical. Don't rely on willpower, redesign your environment. Make focus easier. Remove what pulls you away before it even has the chance. Put your phone out of reach. Clear your workspace. Close what you don't need, because every small distraction you eliminate is one less battle you have to fight. And the fewer battles you fight, the more energy you have to actually focus. Number 5, learn to be bored again. This is something most people have lost, the ability to sit still without needing stimulation. I didn't realize it at first, but every time things became quiet, my mind looked for something, anything, to fill the gap. Music, scrolling, checking something pointless. And because of that, I couldn't stay with a single task for long. Stoicism brings you back to boredom, not as something negative, but as something necessary. Because boredom is where focus is rebuilt. When you stop feeding your mind constant stimulation, it slowly recalibrates. It becomes comfortable with stillness again. And from that stillness, real concentration begins. So don't escape boredom, sit with it. That's where your focus starts to return. Number 6, one task, one mind, no exceptions. Multitasking feels productive, but it destroys depth. I used to jump between tasks, thinking I was getting more done, but in reality, I was just doing everything at half capacity. My mind was never fully present. Stoicism teaches simplicity. One task, full attention. No switching until it's done, or until you decide to stop intentionally. Because every time you switch, you reset your focus. You lose momentum. And rebuilding that takes time and energy. When you train your mind to stay with one thing, something changes. Your work becomes deeper. Your thinking becomes clearer. And your results improve, not because you're doing more, but because you're finally doing it properly. Number 7, accept that focus feels uncomfortable. Most people think focus should feel natural, smooth, even enjoyable. But it's not. Real focus is uncomfortable. It requires you to sit with difficulty, resist distraction, and stay with something longer than your mind wants to. I used to think something was wrong with me because I couldn't enjoy focusing all the time. But the truth is that resistance is part of the process. Stoicism teaches acceptance, not of comfort, but of reality. Focus is a skill that grows through friction. The more you accept that discomfort, the less power it has over you. And once you stop expecting it to feel easy, you stop quitting when it doesn't. Number 8, stop negotiating with yourself. I'll start in 5 minutes. Just one more scroll? Let me check this first. These small negotiations seem harmless, but they slowly destroy your discipline. I used to do this constantly, delaying, adjusting, giving myself small exceptions. And over time, those exceptions became the rule. Stoicism cuts through that. When it's time to work, you start. No discussion, no delay. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken trust. And without self-trust, discipline cannot exist. So remove the negotiation. Decide once and act immediately. That's how you rebuild control. Number 9. Measure progress by consistency, not intensity. Most people go all in for a short time. High energy, high focus, high effort, and then they burn out. I've done that too. It feels productive, but it doesn't last. Stoicism teaches a different approach. Consistency over intensity. It's not about how hard you go today. It's about whether you can repeat it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Because focus is not built in one session, it's built over time. Small, steady, repeated effort. That's what creates real discipline, so don't aim to be perfect. Aim to be consistent. That's what actually works. Number 10. Become someone who finishes what they start. At the end of everything, this is what matters. Not how many things you begin, but how many you complete. I used to start a lot. Ideas, plans, projects. But I rarely finished them, and that pattern quietly destroyed my confidence. Because, deep down, I knew I couldn't rely on myself. Stoicism forces you to change that identity. You don't just try to focus. You become someone who follows through. Someone who finishes, even when it's hard, even when it's boring. Because every time you complete something, you build self-respect. And self-respect is what fuels discipline long term. Once you become that person, focus is no longer something you chase. It becomes part of who you are. Conclusion. In the end, focus is not something you suddenly gain. It's something you rebuild, piece by piece. Most people are not incapable of focusing. They've just trained their mind to be distracted. And the longer you live like that, the harder it becomes to sit still, to stay present, to do something that actually matters. That's the deeper lesson here. Your attention is your life. Where it goes, your future follows. If you can't control your attention, you can't control your direction. So start applying this today. Not everything at once, just one rule. Set boundaries. Remove distractions. Do one task and stay with it longer than you're comfortable. It won't feel good at first, but that's exactly the point. Because over time, your mind adapts, your focus sharpens, and your discipline becomes something real, not temporary. And one day, you'll notice something different. You're no longer easily pulled away. If this message resonates with you, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support keeps this going and allows me to keep creating content that actually matters. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end of the video. See you in the next videos.